All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before we get started, I'm going to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. And I would like to give double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who teach and rule well. This is Brother Barak, and I'm going to be doing our lesson. Now, this lesson is going to be about, beware men, many men crept in unawares. And, I always speak about this a lot, but I'm going to talk about this particular testimony today. So today we were driving, right? Me and another brother. And basically, we were driving in this kind of like this rural neighborhood. We're going to go pick up some I guess, garden type supplies, trees, right? So we're going to pick up some, fruit and some trees, right? And so we get in this area, and what happens is, we're driving, and, keep in mind, we have a pretty big vehicle that we drive, right? I'm not going into details because, I know who's watching this, but, and basically, we drive on this road, and, our car that we're driving gets stuck into, like, this ditch, right? And we right before that, man, we're in front of this guy's driveway, and he appears to be an Edomite. And he just looks at us. He just kind of stares at us. And it's like the look on his face was like he knew what was about to happen. It's like he tried to put up a spell, And this man and then, our car just immediately just kind of like goes backwards into the ditch. And it's kind of like, we can't get it out, So we can't get the car out, right? And so what happens is, we try 4 or 5 minutes, just can't get the car to move, right? And so I start sending up prayers, to Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And as soon as I say that, the car just gets out. We push the brake a little bit, instantly out of the ditch, man. So I want to just bring out that testimony before we get started, but we ran into that Edomite, man, and he just has some look on his face, man. Now, the thing about what's happening now is that Esau, like, he's starting to hate on us more than ever. Like, he's not even. This man is not even, like, how you say it. He's not even, like, he knows now. He knows he knows that he's a who the Lord's chosen people are, and he knows he's gonna try everything in his manner to stop that, to get into your way. He's gonna try to provoke you. He's gonna try to start arguments with you. Now we're gonna bring out a book of Galatians 2 and 4. It says, "And that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privily to spy out our liberty which we have in Yahweh Shai, that might bring us into bondage." Now, this goes hand in hand with many men being crept in unawares, like the book of Jude 1 and 4 says. There's going to be a lot of guys, man, that come into this thing, and they're secretly Edomites. They secretly hate us, and that's built into their blood, man. The so-called white man. Not all white people, but many white people, are Edomites, man, and that goes back to, Esau, the devil, man. And, they hate us with a passion. Now, today I was at another, after that, I was at this, school graduation, and, just to put it simply, I was at, somebody's school graduation, and, the person graduating, somebody that I know, ends up graduating, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna have to dip, So we end up trying to leave, and this Edomite comes out of nowhere, and we asked, where's the exit? He's like, and this guy's like, you can't leave until the program is over. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Like we're trying to get the hell out of here. We're adults. Like we can leave, like, and so. And Esau, he desires that control, man, because he had that position and power. Now this guy is basically telling us, we can't leave. We can't leave a building. We're not fucking children here. So anyway, we end up just dipping. We end up just leaving, and and it was the Lord, man. It was perfect timing because this man, it looked like he was trying to set us up. Because a lot of these dudes, Esau tries to like put on a show. He tries to put on a persona, to be seen by men. I'm gonna bring that out right now. Salaki, Esau tried to cut off my internet, but so I just lost the audio recording. But um, you know, and I'll have another scripture right here. It's took in Matthew 22:8. It says, "Then said he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy." Okay, so this is speaking about these men that were not, people that were not invited to the wedding gathering. Also referring to the agents. These agents crept in unawares, man. And you got a lot of people, saying, you know, these agents, and Salakia for the background noise. I gotta get that alarm fixed. But you got, these agents, man, and they're gonna try to get you in trouble for simple shit, man. The security guard try to get me and Ak in trouble for some bullshit. We're fucking adults, man. We're not gonna be doing this stupid shit where you can't leave the building. You can't leave. Or and these men are gonna try to set us up, and it almost felt like it felt like it kind of like a constant. It reminded me of what's just gonna happen. A lot of brothers are gonna get put into camps, concentration camps. Get put into get forced to just do whatever, man. And we're gonna have to rebel against this fucking devil, because he knows his time is almost up. And you got a lot of guys, also Asian provocators, but also what's the word, psyops, where you got guys saying we're gonna be here for another 1,000 more years or another 20, 30 more years, man. Fuck that, man. We're patiently, we're trying to get the hell out of here. We hope for that day of calamity. We hope for that day of judgment. Where these ICBM nuclear missiles are going to destroy Babylon, aka America. We don't want to be here, man, because we're going to get those new spiritual bodies. And that goes back to the new covenant. When we get beamed up in them chariots, however we get out of here, we're gonna basically have new spiritual bodies, man. We're gonna be 8 feet tall. We're not gonna get sick. We're gonna be able to fly. We're gonna be able to spawn things around. We're gonna beat this man's ass too. Esau's gonna get that judgment, that crazy judgment. He's literally gonna be our slave in the kingdom. So he's gonna be our slave, and then he's gonna perish. That's how it's gonna go down. So why the fuck do we want to be here for another 1,000 more years, man? This we're supposed to be praying to the Lord that He speeds things up. In the book of Genesis 25, it says, "The Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples from within you will be separated. 1 people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." And yeah, man, Esau, what's going to happen is he's going to serve us, man. And he doesn't like that, man. So he's going to try to do everything to you, whether he's going to try to set up witchcraft, like the man I spoke about earlier, where he tried to, he just looked at our car and he tried to, he started just bugging out. The look on his face was, he knew he was an agent, and he was a demon. And then like the security guard, man, these guys are basically, they're mad because we're stronger than them, man, and we're gonna have control of them. So they're really they're really going for those last, those kind of like last minute shots, those last, those kind of like those how you say it, you know, those basically he's just trying to go for that sucker punch, you know, and it's not gonna work because we have the Lord protecting us, man. You know, we have the Almighty power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakwadash, and you know he's with us, man, and he's showing us things, you know, because sometimes you'll now you know things are starting to ramp up, and now you will literally start getting, I'm gonna go more into this in another lesson I'm about to do. We're gonna do, but you're literally, you know, some guys are literally starting to get visions where they'll think of somebody or they'll think of something, and then a couple hours later that thing happens or something similar to that thing that you thought in your head happened, or you might think of a person, and then you see that person like a couple hours later, or you know you might see you might be, you know, you might say something, imagine that this happens, and then that thing happens a couple hours later. You know, the Lord's starting to give us, you know, his men, you know, the prophets, he's starting to give them visions now, you know. That's how we know we're in the last days, man. You know, things are speeding up. You know, we don't want things to be slow. You know, we don't want to be here for 1,000 more years, man. Because, you know, this place isn't our place of rest, you know. We're not supposed to have it good on this side. You know, man. You know, Jake always trying to, you know, get distracted by these stupid fucking things, but we're not supposed to have it good on this side, man. This is Babylon, man. This is Esau's territory. And it's not going to be his territory for much longer, man.